Welcome back to the channel Coin Master everyone. Today we are going to talk about a truly special coin that has been turning heads in the coin collecting world, and that is the Liberty Roosevelt dime from 1967, the one dime coin that proudly bears the words "In God We Trust" and represents one of the most fascinating pieces of American coinage history. This little coin might look ordinary to most people, but for collectors and those who understand its history, it can actually be worth big money. Yes, you've heard that right. We are talking about values reaching as high as $58,000 in today's market, which is absolutely incredible for a coin that originally had a face value of just 10 cents. To really understand why the 1967 Roosevelt dime holds such importance, we need to take a deep dive into its history. Back in 1946, the United States Mint introduced the Roosevelt dime to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who had passed away in 1945. Roosevelt was not only one of the most influential leaders in American history, but he was also instrumental in the March of Dimes campaign, which worked to fight polio and help countless families. So when the nation decided to change the dime's design, it was clear that putting Roosevelt's image on the coin was the best way to pay tribute to his legacy. Fast forward to 1967, and we find ourselves in a very interesting period of U.S. coinage history. Just 2 years earlier, in 1965, the United States Mint made a huge change by removing silver from dimes, quarters, and half dollars. Up until 1964, dimes had been struck in 90% silver, but starting in 1965, the composition changed to a copper nickel-clad design, which is what we still see in circulation today. The year 1967 is right in the middle of this transition period, and collectors consider it one of the pivotal moments for modern coinage. Another key detail is that during 1965 through 1967, the U.S. Mint did not put mint marks on dimes at all. This was done in an effort to discourage hoarding, since people were rushing to keep silver coins out of circulation. So every single 1967 dime looks like it came from the same place without any mint mark at all. This makes the year unique in its own way and adds another layer of intrigue for collectors. Now let's talk about why a coin like the 1967 Roosevelt dime could be worth such staggering amounts of money. Although millions of these coins were minted, the key to their value lies in rarity, condition, and errors. Collectors are always on the hunt for high-grade uncirculated examples with perfect or near-perfect luster and sharp details. A dime that has been well preserved for decades without scratches or circulation marks can easily bring thousands of dollars at auction, and when you find one in mint state grades or even special varieties, the value skyrockets. On top of condition, another huge factor is minting errors. Error coins from 1967 can range from double dies to off-center strikes to full bands on the torch design. Located on the reverse side of the dime, the full bands designation especially is a big deal to collectors because it shows that the coin was struck with such precision that the tiny lines on the torch's bands are completely visible. Coins like this are significantly rarer and much more valuable than standard strikes. Imagine finding a 1967 Roosevelt dime in pristine condition with one of these rare characteristics. Suddenly you are not just holding 10 cents, you are holding a piece of history worth thousands, and in some rare cases like the ones documented in high-end auctions, these dimes have fetched jaw-dropping prices approaching $58,000. This is why coin collectors always say check your change, because you never know what treasure could be hiding right in your pocket. Another reason why the 1967 dime is so iconic is because it represents the changeover era in American coinage. It is the coin of transition from silver to clad, and for historians and collectors alike, that means it holds significance far beyond its face value. The fact that it has Roosevelt's portrait ties it directly to one of America's most beloved leaders, and the fact that it was produced during a period without mint marks gives it even more of a story to tell. Every time a collector looks at one of these coins, they are reminded of the economic and political changes that shaped U.S. currency in the 1960s. Now let's consider the real-world market today. In circulated condition, most 1967 dimes might only be worth their face value, but when you step into the world of high-grade coins, the game changes entirely. Collectors pay premium prices for coins graded MS67 and above, and when the coin features full torch bands or rare striking errors, the competition becomes fierce among bidders. Auction records prove that even coins that look simple to the untrained eye can bring in tens of thousands of dollars, and that is exactly why this dime is such an exciting topic in the numismatic community. So the Question is, could you have a 1967 Roosevelt dime worth big money? The answer is absolutely yes if your coin has been preserved in outstanding condition, or if it has a rare striking error it could easily be valued at thousands and in rare elite cases $58,000 or more. It goes to show that not all treasure is buried underground. Sometimes it jingles in your pocket. Collectors around the world are becoming more aware of the importance of modern-era coins like this, and that is why the 1967 dime continues to climb in desirability. It is not just a piece of money, it is a piece of history, a tribute to a president, a symbol of change, and potentially a ticket to life-changing profit. So next time you come across a dime from 1967, do not dismiss it as just small change. Take a close look, examine the details, check the condition, and you might just be holding one of the most valuable coins in circulation today. This has been an incredible journey through the story of the 1967 Liberty Roosevelt dime, a coin that started as just 10 cents but in the right circumstances can be worth up to $58,000 thanks to its history, condition, and collector demand. Never underestimate the power of the coins in your pocket, because sometimes the smallest pieces carry the biggest stories and the biggest values. Today has grown into a true treasure worth tens of thousands of dollars. Yes, we are talking about the Liberty I dime from 1966, the Roosevelt dime that proudly displays the words "In God We Trust, Liberty, and United States of America." At first glance, this dime might look like just another ordinary piece of pocket change, but the history behind it, and its journey through American coinage, makes it one of the most fascinating coins in circulation. This is not just a coin. It is a piece of history that collectors across the world chase after, and today we are going to dive deep into its origins, its story, its hidden value, and how one single Roosevelt dime from 1966 could end up being worth as much as $58,000 in today's collector's market. To understand the 1966 Roosevelt dime, you first have to step back in time and look at the circumstances of American coinage during that period. The year 1966 came right after one of the most important shifts in United States mint history. Up until 1964, dimes were struck in 90% silver and 10% copper, but due to rising silver prices and the growing shortage of coins, Congress passed the Coinage Act of 1965, which completely changed the metal composition of dimes, quarters, and half dollars. Starting in 1965 and continuing into 1966, the dime was struck in what is known as a clad composition, meaning the outer layers were made of copper nickel while the inner core was pure copper. This change ensured that coins would remain affordable for the government to produce and would circulate without being hoarded for their silver content. So the 1966 dime is one of the very first non-silver Roosevelt dimes, representing a turning point in American coinage. Now let us look at the design. On the obverse side of the dime we find the portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States, who guided the country through the Great Depression and most of World War II. His face has appeared on the dime since 1946, chosen to honor his role and his creation of the March of Dimes campaign that helped fund research to fight polio. Surrounding his profile you will see the word liberty, the phrase "In God We Trust," and the year 1966 boldly inscribed below. On the reverse side you see a torch symbolizing liberty, flanked by an olive branch on the left for peace and an oak branch on the right for strength and independence. At the top you see United States of America, and at the bottom the denomination 1 dime. It is a simple yet powerful design that has remained virtually unchanged since its introduction. The year 1966 is especially interesting for collectors because of a unique historical situation. The Mint suspended the use of mint marks from 1965 to 1967 to discourage coin hoarding and speculation. That means no matter whether a dime was struck in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco in 1966, it carried no mint mark. This creates an unusual mystery for coin collectors because we cannot easily trace the origin of the coins from that period. During 1966, over 1.3 billion dimes were struck, making it one of the highest mintage years, and while most circulated heavily, a tiny fraction survived in pristine condition. It is those rare high-grade examples, combined with unique errors, that today are worth staggering sums of money. Imagine a dime that has traveled for decades, surviving pockets, purses, cash registers, and bank vaults, yet remains untouched, unscathed, shining with original luster as if it just left the mint yesterday. Such coins in mint state grades can fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars. But the real excitement comes when we talk about rare errors and varieties from 1966. There are examples of double dies where the lettering or date appears doubled, off-center strikes where the design is shifted, and coins struck on wrong planchets, meaning the dime was mistakenly struck on a planchet meant for another coin such as a penny. These errors are extremely rare, but when they appear, collectors pay massive amounts to own them. Some of these rare 1966 Roosevelt dimes have sold in auctions for tens of thousands of dollars, and reports exist of specimens valued up to $58,000, turning a simple 10-cent piece into a collector's jackpot. The value of the 1966 Roosevelt dime depends on several key factors. First is its condition, measured by the coin grading scale, where MS-60 to MS-70 represent mint state uncirculated coins. A common circulated dime from 1966 is still worth face value, only 10 cents. But a coin graded MS-67 or MS-68 with strong luster and no scratches can skyrocket in value to hundreds or thousands of dollars. Second is rarity. Since there were no mint marks in 1966, collectors search for unusual varieties and errors that make a coin unique. Finally, there is demand. Roosevelt dimes have a strong following in the numismatic community, and certain years and grades command intense competition among collectors. Combine these three elements, and you can understand why one coin can rise from a simple pocket change item to a treasure worth $58,000 in today's market. Beyond the numbers and values, the 1966 Roosevelt dime represents an important chapter in American history. It reminds us of a time when the United States was adjusting to rising silver prices, when the mint was forced to innovate with new compositions, and when millions of people relied on coins every day for their daily transactions. It is a story of change, adaptation, and resilience, captured in a small but mighty coin. Holding a 1966 dime is like holding a time capsule from the 1960s, a decade filled with social movements, technological progress, and cultural change. For collectors and treasure hunters today, the thrill of searching for a valuable 1966 dime continues. Imagine checking your old coin jar, digging through your pocket change, or browsing at a flea market and suddenly spotting that perfect coin with glowing luster, flawless surfaces, or a striking error. That discovery could transform a simple dime into a life-changing reward. Many people overlook dimes because of their small size, but seasoned collectors know that big treasures often come in the smallest packages. So the next time you see a Roosevelt dime from 1966, do not pass it by. Take a closer look. Inspect its details, check its surfaces, and consider its history. What may appear to be just another coin could actually be a hidden fortune. With a current market value that can reach as high as $58,000, the 1966 Liberty One dime with Roosevelt and the phrase "In God We Trust" is more than just money, it is a collectible masterpiece. This is the magic of coin collecting. Ordinary coins turn extraordinary when we understand their stories, their history, and their value. The 1966 dime is proof that treasures still circulate among us, waiting to be discovered. Keep searching, keep collecting, and who knows, maybe one day you will hold in your hand a dime that is worth far more than its weight in copper and nickel, a dime that carries the legacy of Roosevelt, the promise of liberty, and the fortune of $58,000. Would you like me to also make this script YouTube optimized with engaging pauses, hooks, and call to action lines so it flows perfectly for narration in a video? Today the story of the Roosevelt dime begins in 1946 when it was first introduced to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who had passed away in 1945. Roosevelt was admired not only as a wartime leader who guided America through World War II but also for his efforts in fighting polio and establishing the March of Dimes, a program that directly influenced the design and purpose of this coin. The dime was chosen as the denomination to honor him because of his association with the March of Dimes, and since then his portrait has appeared on the obverse side of every dime minted from 1946 to the present. The 1969 D dime continues this tradition, showing Roosevelt's bust on the front with the words Liberty and In God We Trust along with the date and the Denver Mint mark just beside the base of the neck. The reverse side of the coin is equally symbolic, featuring an olive branch representing peace, a torch representing liberty, and an oak branch representing strength and independence, tied together with the inscription United States of America and 1 dime. This classic design has remained almost unchanged for decades and has become one of the most recognizable pieces of American coinage. While millions of 1969 D-dimes were struck and released into circulation, most of them have been worn down by heavy use in everyday commerce. That is why finding one in pristine mint state condition is so rare and so valuable today. Collectors prize the 1969 D-dime not just for its design and symbolism but also for its condition rarity. In lower circulated grades, these dimes are worth only their face value or slightly above, but once you enter into the higher mint state grades like MS65 and above, the price jumps dramatically. Flawless examples with strong strikes and clean surfaces are extremely difficult to find because of how the coins were mass-produced at the Denver Mint in that year. Add to that the fact that the dime is a small denomination that passed quickly through countless hands, vending machines, cash registers, and banks, and it is easy to see why high-quality survivors are so scarce. The market for Roosevelt dimes has grown significantly in the last 2 decades as more collectors have turned their attention to modern series. While older series like the Mercury dime and Barber dime had long attracted attention, the Roosevelt dime is now getting the respect it deserves, and coins like the 1969 D in top grades are leading the way. At auctions, high-end examples of this coin have fetched thousands of dollars, and in rare cases, unique specimens with special qualities or errors can be valued at more than $58,000. That number may sound unbelievable to someone who sees the dime as just a small everyday coin, but in the world of numismatics, rarity and condition drive value, and the 1969 D Roosevelt dime has proven itself to be a hidden treasure. Era coins from this year also add to the intrigue. Collectors search for examples with off-center strikes, double dies, or missing mint marks, all of which can send the value soaring even higher. A regular 1969 D dime might be worth only a few dollars in circulated condition, but a rare error or a gem mint state coin can change the entire story. Imagine finding one of these coins in an old coin jar, a forgotten drawer, or in change from decades ago, and realizing that it could be worth tens of thousands of dollars today. That is the thrill of coin collecting and why videos like this capture so much attention. When you think about the history of the late 1960s, the 1969 D dime also takes on additional meaning. It was struck during a turbulent time in America when the country was going through social changes, political challenges, and cultural revolutions. Having a coin from that year connects you directly with that era, almost like holding a time capsule in your hand. Every scratch, every mark, every shine on the surface of a 1969 D dime tells the story of where it has been and how it has survived over more than half a century. For collectors, that emotional and historical connection adds to the thrill of owning such a piece. Today, the current market value for a superb condition 1969 D Roosevelt dime can reach an impressive $58,000, making it one of the most sought-after coins from the late 1960s. This does not mean that every dime from this year is worth that amount, but it does highlight how the combination of rarity, condition, and demand can turn an ordinary coin into an extraordinary treasure. The excitement surrounding this coin continues to grow as collectors compete to add the best examples to their sets, and as more people learn about its potential, the spotlight on the 1969 D dime shines even brighter. So whether you are a seasoned collector who has been in the hobby for years or someone who just found an old dime in change and wondered about its story, the 1969 D Roosevelt dime offers something truly special. It is a coin that represents American history, honors a beloved president, carries a timeless design, and in rare conditions can be worth more than many cars or even homes. The message here is clear: always check your change, always look at those small coins carefully, because you never know when you might be holding a $58,000 dime in your hand. Would you like me to also create a short, punchy intro line at the beginning that instantly grabs viewers' attention for YouTube, something like a hook before diving into the long script?